Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to change this.
Great, it's 5:30. I will call the meeting of Monday, August 12th. I put them to order. We'll have a roll call. Scott.
Here.
Hogart.
Here.
Kramer. Here. Grant. Here. Vice President.
I don't even have to see. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the items in the consent agenda?
Make that one.
With a motion, is there a second?
I'll support
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next is the guest citizens forum. Is there anyone who'd like to speak at the podium before we get started, Jim? You are on the agenda.
Huh?
You're on the agenda.
Yes, but
So that-
this is broken. So two different things.
Oh,
Hopefully you got a chance to look at it, and those upside down. So all of that stuff, the first family recognition from the water carnival. More flags than the United Nations. And since we had your support, I thought it'd be kind of fitting to bring it down so you could see all the different flags that the people in town have put in. And hopefully you got that. But, it's good to see Patty and Janelle down here and Diane. There were really quite a few people involved in this. But to see them down at that booth talking, and Stephen Chambers' sister, Marion, was here. And her best friend growing up in White Lakes was Pamela Block. And to see the two of them together was, it's pretty good. So until the next time this is on display. Put it right into the right. Okay, and I'm done, but I'll be back in for a second.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to speak to the one?
You want me to?
Yes, please.
I'm Karen McNulty, what makes 254 Kent. I just want to say, I've been here many a times asking things. But I want to also say, I'm here to thank you, the Public Works Department and everybody who put all this work to make what was impressive to show off White Lakes. So I think sometimes we should give you also praise rather than always for asking things. So this is just a thank you from all, for me and for many people who have mentioned it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else would like to speak?
Amanda Withens with 13 Kent Road. Can I ask some questions first? So I see that there is a closed session to pick the vacant councilman seat.
No, the closed session is, the agenda item after that.
Okay, so it's not about the
Contract
closed.
negotiation. No,
Not the, okay. So, did you guys use the personnel committee to pick or use the recommendation for who you recommended for the vacant council seat?
yes, I mean, this isn't really a question and answer session, but yeah, if you have a couple questions we can answer right at the top of our heads, I'm happy to do that, but. Yes, it was the personnel committee who makes the recommendation.
Okay, do you know, is there a need for the personnel committee, considering that there's only 2 extra members on the city council, that would need to vote anyway?
I can't answer that off the top of my head, I don't. It's not my opinion if there's a need or not, that's how it's established right now. I don't know if that can change in the future, or, but that's how it is to date, yes.
Okay, and upon your recommendation, what characteristics does he have that led you to make the recommendation?
Like, they're private interviews, so that's not,
Actually, he's not an employee, so it's not private, it'd be no different than.
the interviews were conducted in a private setting, so.
Correct,
They're
but
not,
it's not.
you don't performance, so if you would like to speak, can you please wait till after Amanda's done, because it is her turn right now, so. The answer is like, what, we're not gonna discuss the outcome of that meeting in a public forum, it was a private interview. Based on all their application and their interview questions and answers, and that's not something that we divulge in a public setting anymore.
Okay, so I just wanna, I know one of the community members applied for the position, Jill Ekman. When I first moved to White Lakes in December 2022, social media was my primary means of getting to know residents. Jill's name was one of the first that became familiar to me because she lets the community know of everything going on by sharing it to the town's community Facebook page. Jill is more than qualified to be on the city council and should be the applicant to be picked. Not only was Jill born and raised here, but she does so much for the community and the children of the community. Because if you ask me, our kids are our future and are the ones that will keep the town going when we're gone. Jill has an extensive list of where she served the community that she was born and raised in, including pop-up shops for the upcoming biking event, Fisherman's Point Community Pop-Up Market. She participates on the ambulance and fire department. She's the arts and crafts coordinator. She's child-oriented and always promotes positives for local businesses and making sure the public's aware of what's going on. It's 2024, and diversity is something that's emphasized in every entity out there. It should be looked at here as well. It's defined by race, ethnicity, gender, expression, sex, sexual orientation, age, physical abilities, and disabilities. And from there, it branches out to things like family status, life experiences, parental status, job experiences, and the list goes on. The personnel committee that made the recommendation consists of 3 women, 2 of which have been friends for a long time. And it's no secret that the 3rd woman is now friends with them and not just colleagues.
Well, Amanda, I didn't have to interrupt you. This isn't a forum to give your opinion on the matter. I appreciate your support of Jill. What you say is not wrong. Everyone that turned in an application was a viable candidate for the appointment. So we're not here to disparage or give praise to the different candidates. This is not what the open forum is for. You have 2 minutes to say your statement, and
Okay.
you've heard your statement. You are in favor of Jill for the council seat, and we've heard you, and thank you, and your 2 minutes are up, so.
Okay, and then I want to ask about diversity within the community too.
Okay, that's not something we're not discussing diversity right now, go ahead. I hear your statement, and I thank you for sharing that, but that's your 2 minutes are up.
Sure.
Thank you. You can ask the counselor after if you'd like.
Mitzi. I would like to ask legal counsel, he is not an employee, therefore it is not closed. It's no different than if he was running for an election. We have a right to know what qualifications our city council members have. And if you can't answer that,
All of
Then
them are qualified candidates. They live in.
but you have to know why he was more qualified than the others.
And I'll say this as a counselor that's not on the personnel committee, I don't know the answer. I plan to ask some questions when we get to that on the agenda, but.
Well, but see, once we get to it on the agenda, we can't ask questions. And that's why we have to ask beforehand. He is not an employee. He is the representative of these people.
And when we get to that agenda item, if people want to say their personal opinions, that's fine. I don't think in this 2-minute session, that's what we're doing.
Well, what is
It's not
this
the
for?
agenda. For you to make a statement.
And I
You
did.
did, and thank you. I can't give you a black and white answer to some of the questions that.
And I will tell you this, I looked at your application and there was nothing in there that asked for qualifications. What are your qualifications for this position?
And generally speaking, there aren't really qualifications for the council, anybody can run and apply as long as they live within city limits. So in election
Correct,
time.
but if you're running, I have the right to know, I can ask you,
Correct.
what are your qualifications to sit in that chair?
Mhm.
This one does not, and by the way, I did a lot of research on 360. It is not what you said it is.
And I would just add that everybody had the same questions for the interviews.
Oh, I get that,
Yeah,
I get that, I'm just
so
saying it was,
we base it off of.
who you liked.
No, off of the responses to the interview questions.
That he wants to learn about public government or local government? Shouldn't he know that by attending the meetings?
And this isn't a debate term, so is there anyone else who would like to say anything at the podium before we move on with the agenda? If not, we'll move on to reports from staff, city administrator Lanny.
So the council requested that I compile comparables for Birchwood Terrace Park. I have done that, and I'm waiting on the profit and loss statement from that owner to present the additional information the council requested, and that's why it's been off the agenda for a few meetings.
Okay, thank you. Public Works Director Singer.
Yeah, Public Works, I think this is the first meeting we've had since Water Carnival. Just wanted to let you guys know that, things went well like normal. Thank you very much to all the volunteers and people, the Water Carnival Committee and everybody involved who puts it together. It's a great community event. As Karen stated, I think we had a lot of positive feedback. I too would like to thank you guys for giving me the liberty to do projects that I felt were long overdue. It's been a long time coming for that area to get it done, finally feels good. I'd like to thank all the contractors that were involved. I gave them a deadline, it seemed like we weren't going to meet it at one point, and the Wednesday before it was all wrapped up. We'll continue to improve on that area as well as other areas, but, I'm happy with the way things have come out. So thank you. Other than that, moving forward, the EMS department, the EMS building, the storm drain system that's going to be installed for the roof drain, the rain gutter drains. The contractor showed up today, they'll be starting on that project tomorrow, it should be wrapped up in about a week. So anybody who does need to access the PD or the ambulance fire department, just know that the east side parking lot is going to be under construction. You're free to park in any other one of the lots, just don't block the doors for the ambulances or fire trucks. And there's other entrances you can use. For the most part, they'll be accessible by foot, but just please use caution when you're trying to get in or out of the building. Other than that, I think, we've got a couple projects going on down at the campground. Where we removed the bathroom last year is that area is getting turned into a handicap accessible site, and our work is gonna start on that, this week, weather dependent, otherwise next week.
Thank you, the Midway area does look very nice, a lot of compliments on. EMS Director Olmsted.
I just have agenda items.
Thank you. City Attorney Burnett.
Nothing to report.
All right, on to reports from elected officials, Councilor Kramer.
I don't have anything to report. I would just echo what Kenny said, that I think Water Carnival went really well. There was really good reports about it and it looked good. And I'm glad all of it got done and all the hard work that all of the agencies from Great Lakes put into it. Thank you.
Councilor Varga.
Again, start by thanking everybody that was involved in Water Carnival, successful event. From the police department, I know we had picked up some late hours there, and I was busy for them. Public Works, get everything together, just really everybody involved. I recently just came from the Public Safety Board meeting. We received an update on the bearing census that's been going on. I'd encourage everybody to keep their trash put away and to take down bird feeders. That seems to be the most common culprit of surrounding the bears in town. There has also been some sightings of a mother with two cubs, who stay away.
Yeah.
That's where the problem's gonna happen, is if you get involved in the house. As far as the mayor, I've asked Becky to reach out to the DNR. We should hopefully be able to arrange a representative to come and give an update, from more of a professional standpoint on the various nuisance and how to handle it. Hopefully the next council meeting or whatever, everything. That's all.
Thank you. Dr. Scott?
Yeah, I'll just echo what everyone else has said. Thank you to everyone who made the water carnival happen. Nice to see lots of people in town and.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to, since we mentioned water carnival, the 70th is next year. There's some big events planned. We'll have to meet with the city, Public Works, EMS personnel and fire about all the activities going on. So we'll hold a meeting early to plan for that. There should be a lot more people in town for the 70th. And a lot of the core members of the water carnival committee will be retiring after that event. So if there's any people interested in being on the water carnival committee, please let someone know and we'll tell you when meetings are, so we can hand it off to someone. The bicycling around Minnesota event will be here Wednesday. They're gonna stay in White Lakes at the Midway Shelter area. There'll be about 350 bike riders and they'll be camping in that area. There'll be shower trucks, satellites, food trucks, bar music, a very, very mini type of water carnival. That'll just be a one-night thing. All their cars will be parked at the arena until Sunday, but they'll come back, have lunch and get their cars and leave. So there will be a lot of people in town on Wednesday. And then the deadline for applications to be on the ballot for council, deadline is tomorrow at 5. So anyone who's interested, please turn in your applications by tomorrow. That's it for me. So there's no old business, on to new business. 11.1 Ranger ATV snowmobile invoice in the amount of 31,782.83 to SEH for 7 Beavers Moose Trail.
It's just a reminder, this invoice and the next invoice are pass-through monies. We are the fiscal agent for the Ranger ATV Snowmobile Club, so we pay out the money and then we are reimbursed.
All right, is there a motion to pay SEH for this work?
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 11.2 Ranger ATV Snowmobile Club invoice in the amount of 240,142.05 to Joel and Top, again for the 7 Beavers Moose Trail. And as Becky said, it's just a pass through. Is there a motion to pay that bill?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, is there a second? I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 11.3, we're back to Jim McGully with the First Families.
Well, what I'm going to be asking is, a proclamation. We've all heard White Lakes is the town that was built by Taconite. But I don't think we've given it a little bit deeper consideration that White Lakes was a town full of houses waiting for families to move in. And the families started moving in September 8th of 1954. And interestingly enough, that makes this year our 70th anniversary. Sure, I'll give this to you. This is some of the documentation that goes behind that. And so the city, because the state law can't give any money to other than a 501c3. But those of us that are here, we can get behind having kind of a cake and ice cream social. And so for you folks, I'm asking that the city do a proclamation, whereas White Lakes, known as the town Taconite built, whereas the first phase of construction of White Lakes homes began in 1954, whereas there were 149 White Lakes homes ready and waiting for new families by September of 1954. Whereas the first families began to arrive and move into these new homes was September 8th of 1954. And so, Madam Mayor, Sheriff, along with the council members, Deborah, Brennan, Stewart, it would be up to you to declare that the start date of Point Lakes be remembered as the 8th day of September 1954. I put this together, whatever, you know, would be more appropriate as far as doing a proclamation, you're certainly welcome to do. But with the city on board saying, yeah, September 8th, that's it. That'll make it a lot easier for us to try and put together kind of sort of short notice of a little bit of birthday party for White Lakes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I guess Becky, would we have to take this up in our own format and put it on the agenda next time, or would we approve this now? We'll just have it signed up right out. Okay. Yeah, we will get this on there. Thank you. If you have any questions, we'll let you know, but I'll, look through our format and see if it matches everything.
Okay. Most I've ever said, we're abs in my life.
Moving on to item point four, request to grant rent for Fisherman's Point shelter for the senior center. The president of the senior citizens or senior center has asked that we waive the fee for their is it their annual picnic, sorry. Is there the end of the point, is there any discussion on waiving the cost of the shelter? It's $30.
We did it last year, and so we'll make a motion to.
I'll support it.
Okay, the motion and support, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11.5 retirement letter from the sanitation department. Steve Blank is going to be retiring, and his date was July 29th, 2024. So we would need a motion to accept his resignation, to accept his retirement from the city.
I'll make that motion.
There's been a motion, is there a second?
I'll support it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Well, how long has Steve been with the city?
39 years.
39 years. Yeah.
In that role, he was also at the arena a couple years prior. 41 gold.
Wow, yeah, that's a long time, so you just see him have to do something, send him. And take part. Steve Lane.
Yeah.
All right, 11.6, request to write off utility bill number 1009-21407-01. Becky, do you have any input on this? I see there's a,
Yep, so we attempted to collect the bill, we are unable to do so, we are also unable to access it to property taxes, and so the option we are left with is to write off.
all right, is there any other questions on 11.6?
Historically, we've never had this property,
As long as the owner's drinking ceremony.
so hopefully it's all with the.
There are motion to write off the bill since it's already been sold and the previous owner does not make good on it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to balance the books here, so I'll make that motion.
And a motion, is there support? There's support, all those in favor? Aye.
Right,
Any opposed? Motion carried. 11.7, resolution 2024-17 to apply for the CompTIA Financial Emergency Response Equipment Collaboration Grant. Is that yours, Val?
Yeah.
Well, we're just gonna, I look like this is nice friends and then.
Let's try again, right?
Right now. Can't get it if you don't try.
All right, I'll make a motion to, do you have a question about it?
I was gonna say, anytime there's grant applications, I'll support them, the money's out there, it's worth applying for it, so I support this. I'll make the motion.
And I will support the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11.8 resignation letter from the EMS department. So resignation from Katie Parks, her last day will be September 1st, 2024. She will continue serving as a casual paramedic, it looks like. So is there any discussion or a motion to accept her resignation?
I think the motion, that's actually resignation.
All right, there's been a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Counselor Scott, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 11.9 quote for a new ambulance from McQueen Equipment.
I'm Gary Francis from the Queen Sense Person.
Okay.
Just want to see if you had any questions on any of that information.
A lot of stuff I don't know about ambulance in there, so.
Just a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
I see this one's quoted as the Ford
E450.
E450. Do you also do Chevrolet? Is there any cost difference?
The Ford seems to be the most easily used and probably the best value on it, but we can certainly look at the Chevrolet as well.
Okay.
Penny might fight you over that one. We can't see how much Chevrolet that we can get anyone to work on. So, London's has been pretty good working with on our Fords, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the Chevrolet dealers around here in the past haven't agreed to work on ours because they're considered medium duty trucks and they're all light duty dealers. So anytime certain warranty items come up, we've been advised to take them to Heighton Chevrolet or Rosedale cities. So it's being a burden for us to try and get it there versus Lundgren's, and that was low service, that size chassis and a Ford.
And they're not considered heavy duty, so they wouldn't be able to go like RMS or something.
Correct, well, RMS doesn't do like warranty work on Chevrolet. They would possibly work on something for hire. Actually, that was the, route we went with the Chevrolet, believe it or not, Lundgren was the one who serviced our Chevrolet and the other dealers wasn't.
And what is the make and model of our newest ambulance?
That's a, Ford F-450.
That's a truck.
That's a truck, we don't want the trucks.
So it is different than the.
We're going back to a van, and that being said, you can't get a van in, diesel anymore, so we're going with gas. The gas van.
In your proposal here, there's a trade-in allowance for the one of our older ambulances.
Correct, yep.
Is that just that value, or is that on top of the current value of?
So that is it's basically the value for the ambulance, yes, that's the value that would be put on there and reduced, basically reduces the price of the ambulance.
Do you get the current value of that? We sold it. No? I imagine.
The last one we did, then we got 14 for it, so it didn't have as many miles, I guess, as one of us. Yeah, there's not much resale in the old rates. Yeah.
It's a tough part with the vans, like get up to that mileage, that's or any of the vehicles, it's kind of subject to that.
Is it possible to reuse the top from the old one and more than that cost, is that?
Yes, however, our costs are really outdated. They're gonna stop making parts for them within the next 7 years, so within 7 years, we need to replace all fixed stuff.
And what is the cost of, just a
35,000. Oh,
they're amazing.
They really do help your.
Yeah,
your-
they're cheaper than a, workman's comp,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, power lifts and those alone is gonna help. For sure.
And that's just the cot, that's not the power load that's in the rig, that's just the cot. So that's another 25,000.
Well worth it, because the more, they're very expensive, yeah. And Melanie, I assume you support instead of a remount, you are in favor of.
For the, just the truck alone, for, was it $44,000 more for a brand new versus the remount? Zach, Kenny and I all agree that that's the way we should more than likely go. First, that's all up to you folks, but that's our opinion.
Tony's not here, but is the previous ambulance something that maybe could go into their fleet, or is it they want to?
I really don't want it. I was trying to, my Wabix running on the rig, so I was trying to deal with the Wabix.
And it's not a final decision on that too, if you do decide to sell that to the lot, you can certainly, we can take that out of the numbers on there, it's just included as a value to help with that, so if you find somebody that wants to buy it, or it would work better in the fire department, or whatever, you can certainly do that, so. It'd just be the value to take that off and make that portion of it easy, so.
If this did go forward, how long would we be able to go until we do that?
Another one?
If we need to replace another one.
Coming up. That's a 2016 with almost 120,000 miles. Yep, we put them off, they're all up here. And starting to play digital, we actually, that ambulance is down in Kerntown right now, we just got the estimate to get it fixed, is around 1,500.
Yes, what's been your number of runs increase, the life expectancy of the vehicles decrease.
We used to way back in the day, every 4 years, no matter what we done when.
I can attest to that, back when I was the mechanic and we were a BLS ambulance service, we had 2 ambulances. When I do the quarterly services on them every 3 months, it only got an oil change every other quarterly service. Right now, all of our ambulances are averaging 2 oil changes every quarterly service, you know, it's. So that just tells you how many miles, and that's 3 of them, so the mileage is getting split fairly evenly between 3. That's the type of miles we're at on the ambulances, and now we're keeping them 10 years or more. So.
But unfortunately, if those wheels aren't turning, the money's not coming in, so. The cost of business.
What's the timeline on, you know, if this were approved and then it gets ordered, what's the timeline?
So we've actually got it moved up, we're looking at January 26th, so to be for the replacement, so we'd have it. Just a little over a year.
And the remount, remember, was 750 days.
Yeah, so if we were to remount our old box on it and cab and chassis, we're looking at 2 years versus. A year before.
Yeah.
A new one. One other thing I'd like to add is with it being a Ford, we can, the powertrain warranty. The vehicle portion of the ambulance is serviced locally here at Longridge. Queen also has a guy by the name of Anthony Mamonite, who's a resident in Gilbert. He is the emergency vehicle service.
These are mobile tech.
He's a mobile tech, so he has a service truck, parts tool, and everything right in Gilbert. Whereas the current brand of ambulances we've been running from Alford Falls. So anytime they needed specialty work, they would either have to send a technician from Burgess or. Yeah. Pretty big Burgess.
Yeah,
$5.
that's a mobile unit, so they come right to you, we don't even have to.
As a service station. Right.
I think the cost difference between the brand new vehicle versus trying to refit the previous one. I think someone else goes plan, I mean, trying to retrofit things, so I would support just getting with.
Motion or still just discussion?
I'll make.
There's been a motion on the floor, is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
The first and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Year and a half, we'll have to end. Thank you.
Yeah.
11.10, year 2025 budget meeting dates.
I just wanted to notify the council that the supervisors' budgets were due back to me last week. And I will be receiving Sue shortly. She is having a board meeting, and so I am anticipating the dates for you for budget meetings here shortly. And so please respond back to me as soon as you get the email, so we can get those meetings set up. for your budget.
11.11, appointment to fill the city council vacancy. The council had 5 applications for which had interviews conducted. The recommendation of the personnel committee was to appoint Jordan Haransky to the vacant council seat. Open it up for discussion by the council.
I'll make a motion to appointed to fill the council vacancy.
Do you have any questions, Stu, before I jump into it?
You can go ahead.
So before the meeting, hold on, there's procedurally, there's a motion on the table, we call it second. Did somebody second vote?
No,
No, if somebody made a motion,
we have to.
procedurally, you have to ask for a second before you start discussion on the motion.
Okay, there's been a motion, is there a second? And for statute or Robert's Rules of Order, you have to ask 3 times, there's been a motion on the floor, is there a second for that motion? And for the last time, there's been a motion, is there a second for that motion? Seeing no support for the motion, it dies for lack of support, we can continue the discussion on that.
Yeah, with considering the mayor had brought up that we can discuss it, I think it would be important for us just to at least talk about it before jumping into the motions. So I'll get into kind of the things that I written down. So in the packet, only drawings applications provided, with no further applications for the other candidates, being provided. Also, there's all sort of information about them, that I've gotten. I don't know who's gotten any information about the other candidates. And I have no information about them. How the interviews went, what they had to say about things. The public had asked various questions, but it sounded like we can't answer the questions the public has. So at this point, I don't feel confident in supporting this appointment at this time. I would like to have some time to see those other applications, hear about how the interviews went. I previously brought up concerns, that IM residents who had reached out to me had about, Becky essentially playing a role in who her supervisor is. But it didn't seem like anybody else appears to kind of engage with that or have some concerns. From my understanding, before, Becky came to her position, the entire council would be a part of, those types of interviews. This being such an important appointment as a counselor, as someone who can vote on things like city policy and laws. I think these interviews now and in the future should be things all of the council members have a chance to be a part of. I believe we should do the interviews again, whether we call them some sort of follow-up interviews or whatever sort of name you want to call it, just to give me and Stu the chance to see what those interviewees have to say. I also want their applications provided to the entire council, so Stu and myself included. So we're all able to make the best informed decision we can. Or I guess we can just make motions and break them through. And all this stuff.
Or I was on council, I mean, since I've been here, it's been the personnel committee who makes a recommendation that's voted on the entire council, so I'm not sure if that's an ordinance, if that's just how things have been set up and done in the past, but yeah, it's not known to have it be done any other way since I've been on here.
I thought the bylaws like.
Is that an ordinance? Is that just how we structure it? It's just that. I mean, so that topic is open for the council, you know, to discuss or to, you know, talk about to have that change, but that is how it's set up right now. And that is how it was done according to how it's always been done in the past.
A recent past,
Yeah, I'm talking about the experience I have.
not just for
It's been done 2.5. Yeah, that's how it's been done. I didn't know there was another way that they used to do it, so that's something we can certainly look at and discuss. I don't think now, now obviously not the time we're gonna make that decision, but something we can, and it's an agenda item. And how that works, something we can talk about.
The recommendation is, Jordan here, he is still our active flight officer. Okay.
Yes.
And who oversees that position?
I suppose that.
As an hourly employee, he supervises. Is there potential for conflict there of having?
Being a versatile officer, if he would actually design.
He would have to-
It's not a full-time position.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that.
So we currently have a counselor who supervises a relative, and then that relative also supervises him, and so it's not, I'm not related in any way. And so I'm not sure how the additional conflict over the EMS is.
I think there's enough separation there where it's Brandon being CEO of council's poll, however. You oversee Mel.
exactly.
Right, but Mel oversees Brandon,
Yeah, we have a nepotism policy that.
does not apply.
Can be.
But this isn't
I
managed.
think that was my question, is that your conflict of interest policy doesn't apply to part-time? Based just on the.
Not an issue of conflict
Policy.
of interest, it's whether they're incompatible offices,
Okay,
it's a different issue.
I think whether real or perceived, it could easily be perceived as a conflict, so either. He would have to be willing to step down from his position as flight officer, in my opinion, or we should make a different selection.
So that would follow through for any employee of the city. Would that have to step down?
If they are directly supervised by the EU, yes. My opinion, I don't know. It's appeared to me that it could be conflict, that the person that's supervising you. Is also being supervised by you. It's, I don't know.
Is there any other employees within the city that play a part in choosing their supervisor?
Yes.
Who's that?
When we interview for supervisors, typically not all of the direct reports, but several direct reports are in the interview. For example, when I interviewed this position, all of the supervisors, as well as Tammy and Betsy, were in the interviews process.
Can you know who applied for the open position? Or is that
Yeah.
private?
No, it's public information, so the applicants were Daniel Dudley, Jill Ekman, Dave Darvilla, and Jordan Kronsky were the completed applications. I don't have the name of the completed application.
In Mitch, are they able to provide information that was gathered during the interviews? Sherry was suggesting that during.
Well, I mean, yeah, that can be a discussion and with the council, I mean, I don't know if there were written materials from that, I mean, that's a separate data request, but the council certainly can engage in a discussion of what transpired at the interviews or personnel committee meeting.
It's not open to the public or something, or?
No, I mean, I think they can discuss it, because, my understanding, I guess we have to look back at the minutes, I think, from what I understand is that. When the council vacancy was created, or when this vacancy occurs. Did the council make a formal motion to that this would be the process you would
In the
follow?
resolution.
That it would be referred to the personnel committee to conduct the interviews of the candidates and then make a recommendation to the city council. So you basically task your personnel committee with the job of conducting the interviews, and based upon those interviews, and, basically vetting the candidates to make a formal recommendation to the city council. Your recommendation before you, the council can act on that recommendation by either approving or denying it. Certainly as part of that process, but you ask questions about, who said what in the interview. I guess you can ask that, and people who participated can talk a little bit, but I mean, essentially,
created a process of how you wanted to fill the seats, or fill this seat. And your personnel committee is engaged in that process and they've made a recommendation. If you want to create a different process, go ahead and create a different process, but that's the process you created, now you have a recommendation, council needs to act.
And I'm certainly not, yeah, like I said, I'm not opposed to discussing how to do this in the future, but in light of this is how it was tasked now. And getting someone on this council and moving forward, would it be legitimate or legal for me to make a recommendation of our second choice? Or would that have to be a separate interview process and a separate recommendation at a different meeting,
The
or?
council, I mean, it's really a council discussion, or you can, if you can't agree on one candidate, you can certainly have a discussion, try to arrive at a different candidate, you can engage in that process tonight if you want, or you can create a new process, or you can refer it back to the personnel committee for more work. You can give the, I mean, really the options are wide open for however you want to do it here tonight. It's really your discussion. You did create a process. To have a personnel committee vet it, make a recommendation, if you do have a recommendation before you. A motion to go ahead if that recommendation has failed. For lack of a second, and. So now, you know, it's up to the council to sort your way through this, that's what we do.
What would be the options if we can't agree on anybody? At some point, does somebody have
You
to?
remain vacant.
Until,
Until there's an action taken, but until there's a majority vote of the board of you to appoint a seat. You know, there's.
Yes, if we're not going to appoint another counselor, we've been able to function with 4 people so far. I think it should be up to the people who want to fill that seat with. But I mean,
I think we can fill this, and we're going to get to the contract negotiations, and some of us have to remove ourselves from the conversation, so.
and if someone can't make a meeting, we don't have a forum to even hold a meeting, if one of us are unable to attend. So, one of us could be absent. Well, I'd like to, what we have before us, and I would prefer to fill the seat, and in November, the public can make their voices heard and their choices be known, but I would like to make now a motion to appoint our second choice for the appointment, which would be Dave Jarvala. So I'm putting a motion on the floor to now to appoint Dave Jarvala to the council seat.
I second that.
And there's been a second. Is there, all those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carried, Dave Jarvala will be appointed to the council seat if he is still willing to accept the appointment. And with that, we'll go on to a closed section for labor contract negotiations. So we'll ask everyone to leave when we do adjourn again, or when we convene again, you're welcome to come back in. All we're gonna do is adjourn, but if everyone can step outside, you're free to come back in when we're done talking, but for now, we'll put the floor.